Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain a South African supernatural horror thriller film from 2019, titled The Soul Collector. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The opening scene shows a sick man lying in bed when a stranger enters the house carrying a large leather sack. The man placed the sack on the floor, and it begins to move, revealing something inside that terrifies the sick man. The stranger starts performing a ritual on him, and after the stranger leaves, it is revealed that the sick man has died, with black liquid coming from his mouth. In 1977, William Zeal and his wife, Sarah, find themselves bankrupt and move to inherit William's father's farmhouse in a remote area in Himalapard. They bring along their orphaned niece, Mary, and when they arrive, Sarah feels uneasy about the house, which looks a bit creepy. William goes inside first to explore and discovers there is no electricity, and shortly after, Sarah and Mary enters. As Mary heads upstairs alone, a strange creature is seen lurking in one of the rooms. Suddenly, she screams, drawing William and Sarah's attention, but it turns out she screamed because her candle blew out. That night, the family gathers by the fireplace, and Mary tells William and Sarah about sangomas, spirits that can communicate with their ancestors, but Sarah dismisses it as mere superstition. The next day, William tries to fix the generator but fails, which got him frustrated. Meanwhile, Mary is outside drawing when she hears a voice calling to her, and she catches a glimpse of a little girl running into the forest. Curious, Mary follows but soon gets lost, and as she wanders in the forest, she encounters a strange man who introduces himself as Lazarus. Lazarus appears friendly toward Mary, and they quickly become friends. They even talk about worms collection after Lazarus noticed that Mary has many in her box. When Mary tells him that she's lost and needs help finding her way home, Lazarus agrees to help and leads her back to her family. When they arrive, William and Sarah react differently to Lazarus. William is grateful, while Sarah is suspicious of him. Lazarus explains that he used to work for William's father and suggests he could help William, who is struggling to get things set up around the farm. However, Sarah remains uneasy, and it is later revealed that Lazarus was the one who killed William's father. Later that night, while the family is having dinner, the lights suddenly come on, surprising them since William had tried and failed to fix the generator earlier. Armed with a stick for protection, William goes outside to investigate and finds that Lazarus has repaired the generator. Impressed, William asks Lazarus if he would help him with the farm and offers him a room in the shed. That night, Sarah is awakened by strange noises, and when she goes to investigate, she discovers the sounds are coming from one of the rooms. Suddenly, she is startled by a knock from inside, and the door swings open by itself, but no one is there. As she steps back, a hand grabs her, only for her to wake up, realizing it was just a nightmare. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, a group of villagers is gathered, led by an elderly man named Shaman Obara. He warns the locals, including his son, Suno, that Lazarus and the demon have returned. In a flashback, it's revealed that after Lazarus' beloved daughter, Viaswa, died in a fire incident, he used dark magic in an attempt to resurrect her. However, a demon known as Uthulai possessed Viaswa's body, and Lazarus was cursed to carry Uthulai across South Africa in a large leather sack, in search of souls to feed the demon. The next morning, while helping Mary bury her pet worm, Lazarus tells her about how moths carry souls, including those of her deceased parents. He then takes Mary to the shed and gives her a moth in place of her worm, telling her to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, as Sarah is hanging clothes outside, she notices Suno spying on her, causing her to call for William. After spotting the man, William drives into the village to introduce himself, and Lazarus goes along with him. When William and Lazarus arrive at the village, they meet Shaman Obara and the other villagers, who seem displeased with Lazarus' presence. Obara tells William that he needs to leave, but William misunderstands the hostility as being directed at him, not realizing it's actually toward Lazarus. Obara vows to leave Lazarus to his business on the farm if he stays away from the village, and during an argument, William arms himself with a gun, worried the situation could escalate. Afterward, William and Lazarus drive back to the farm, and Lazarus tells William not to trust the villagers, purposely mistranslating the villagers' angry words to William. That night, Sarah opens up to William about her sadness over not being able to have children of her own. William tries to comfort Sarah by reminding her that they have Mary, but Sarah insists she cannot see Mary as her own child since she didn't give birth to her. Meanwhile, in the shed, Lazarus is seen communicating with Othuli, who warns him that he is getting too attached to Mary, whom the creature plans to possess. The next day, Sarah spots Lazarus from the window, hauling his sack toward the village, unaware that Othuli is inside. Lazarus sneaks into the home of Suno's mother, where the elderly woman lies sick in bed, and she is visibly terrified of him. Lazarus places the sack on the floor and performs a dark ritual, extracting her soul, which manifests as a moth emerging from her mouth, and he offers the moth to Othuli, who consumes it. Meanwhile, Sarah decides to take a bath, and at the same time, Lazarus returns to the shed with Othuli, and the demon begins to taunt Lazarus, growing more restless. As Sarah relaxes in the bathtub, Othuli suddenly appears and tries to suffocate her by pressing a towel over her face. Just as Sarah struggles, William arrives in time, but Othuli disappears before he can see it. The frightened Sarah tells William what happened, claiming something tried to kill her, but William dismisses her fears, refusing to believe that something supernatural is happening on the farm. The next day, the villagers hold a ceremonial burial for Suno's mother, and during the ceremony, Shaman Obara advises Suno not to seek revenge for her death. Despite Obara's warning, Suno is consumed by anger and decides to take matters into his own hands. Meanwhile, Mary becomes friends with a vision of Vyaswa, Lazarus' deceased daughter, and Sarah catch Mary talking to what appears to be no one in her room. Determined to avenge his mother's murder, Suno disregards Obara's advice and steals Lazarus' sack, which contains Othuli. Believing that destroying the sack will destroy both Lazarus and the demon, Suno takes it into the forest. However, when Suno is distracted, Othuli escapes from the sack and hides behind a tree. Just as Suno begins to approach the demon while holding a knife, Lazarus suddenly appears and confronts him, and in the struggle, Suno is tragically stabbed with his own knife. After burying Suno's body, Lazarus curses Othuli for causing Suno's death, while breaking down in tears. Suddenly, Shaman Obara appears behind Lazarus and stabs him, but to Obara's shock, Lazarus simply resurrects. Lazarus tells Obara that only fire can bring him peace, before walking away from the forest. While coming back from the lake, Sarah notices Lazarus acting suspiciously. Curious, she sneaks behind the shed where she finds a bloody shirt, before peering through a window and overhears Lazarus plotting with Othuli. Terrified, Sarah runs to William and shows him the bloody shirt, accusing Lazarus of murder. She also tells William about the girl she saw inside Lazarus' sack. Sarah insists that William force Lazarus to leave, threatening to take Mary away if he doesn't, and he will never see either of them again if he refuses. Reluctantly, William goes to confront Lazarus at the shed. However, Lazarus quickly cuts his palm with a knife, making it seem like the blood on his shirt came from his injury. Unsure of what to believe, William fires Lazarus but allows him to stay for one more night, and suspicious, William asks to see the sack. Lazarus, hiding his true intentions, agrees and lets William approach the sack. As William prepares to open it, Lazarus, who is holding a knife, is preparing to strike, but just as he is about to attack, the generator runs out of fuel, causing a sudden distraction. After returning to the house, William engages in a heated argument with Sarah, insisting she leave Lazarus alone, and frustrated, he leaves the farm to buy fuel for the generator. Determined to confront Lazarus herself, Sarah goes to the shed but ends up being overpowered and captured by Lazarus. He ties her up and performs a ritual that leaves her unconscious, and with Sarah out of the way, Lazarus lures Mary into the forest. When William returns home, he finds the house empty and notices Obara and the villagers marching toward Lazarus' shed. Realizing something is wrong, William arms himself with a rifle and heads to confront the villagers, and upon reaching them, William learns that Sarah is being held captive in the shed. William managed to free Sarah from her restraints, and Obara explains that Lazarus has been feeding souls to the demon Othuli and warns William that Mary is in grave danger. The villagers care for the unconscious Sarah while William, accompanied by a skilled tracker, rush into the forest to search for Mary. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Mary and Lazarus sit around a campfire, where they talk about protecting each other, and Mary makes Lazarus promise they will always look out for one another. Lazarus then gives her a drink, which Mary innocently takes, and shortly after, she begins to lose consciousness as Lazarus starts performing a ritual. Back at the farm, Obara and the villagers also begin their own ritual in an attempt to counteract Lazarus' dark magic. As the rituals unfold, William pushed deeper into the forest, desperate to find Mary before it's too late. Suddenly, a ring of fire erupts around the farmhouse, and as Lazarus is about to feed Mary's soul to Uthuli, Obara and his sangomas burn down Lazarus' shed. In the woods, Lazarus and his sack spontaneously combust, and in his frantic search, William finally locates Mary, only to find her lying dead on the forest floor. At the same time, back at the farm, Sarah regains consciousness and lets out a heart-wrenching scream. The scene then shifts to the spirit realm, where Mary wakes up and finds Lazarus sitting alone. She speaks with him, and full of remorse, Lazarus apologizes for betraying her, explaining that his actions were driven by the desperate hope of saving his own daughter. Lazarus then shows Mary her deceased parents and offers her a choice. He presents a moth, symbolizing her soul, and tells her she can either follow her parents to the afterlife or return to the real world. After a moment of reflection, Mary makes a pact with Lazarus, promising they will meet again before vanishing, leaving Lazarus behind in the spirit realm. In the farmhouse, Mary's ghost appears and gently touches Sarah, who is overcome with emotion. Inexplicably, Sarah soon discovers that she is pregnant, and as the film reaches its conclusion, Obara and the villagers remain at the farm, now working alongside William. The final scene shows Sarah mentally reciting the same monologue about a wanderer that Lazarus had once spoken, before swallowing a baby moth. Okay guys, that's all the recap about The Soul Collector from 2019. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.